there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 8.8 Golf Ball Edition differential. In all honesty, got it painted. It looks really, really good. But man, has this thing seen some nasty northern rust. And there's just all this pitting in the casing. And I did my best to clean it out as good as I possibly can. With a wire brush, and then I painted it with some stuff I'll show you in a minute because I'm a big fan of it. But look at that, rear end is all painted. You can kind of see it. It's in the, maybe in the sun it'll look better on camera, or maybe not. We'll pull it out of the sun, but it looks great. Nice and clean, not messing with the dirty axle tube now or anything like that, but it's awesome. It's just, this is hilarious how pitted this thing was from that rust wherever it came from. So that Explorer that I pulled this out of had to come from the north. Maybe it came from a coastal area, but I don't think it did. Either way, it's good inside, and that's what matters. So I'm gonna throw this thing in the truck for good today, and since the axles and stuff are out, it's actually a little bit easier to mess with. Now, something I'm going to do tomorrow is I got to go take these axles over to Billy's house, and I need to get them pressed in, and these lugs. So these are Moroso 3-inch lugs, and they're supposed to fit in these axles, and I think they're going to, but I don't have a press here, so I'm going to do it over there, make it nice and easy and get it done, and then we'll assemble the axle. So that's what we're going to do in this one, this video at least. But I also have all the brakes for it as well. But as I was talking about, please excuse my mess, I went ahead and painted the backing plates because I had them, I sandblasted them when we welded the rear end together, so they look good to go. And what I painted everything with is this awesome VHT epoxy paint. It's not cheap. I think this thing was 12 bucks at O'Reilly's. I bought a couple of them, but I really, really like how it goes on. It seems to be pretty sturdy, and the best thing is you don't have to use a primer to get it all together. So yeah, that's all done, and all I did was I saved you guys the trouble of just watching me hit this thing with a wire wheel everywhere. I did clean it off a few times with some acetone to make sure that metal was real clean before I used the paint, and it paid off. It looks great. So let's get it hung. And like I said, now that the axles are out of it and the brakes are off of it, it's actually somewhat manageable. So maybe I can kind of get it up in place without having to do too much of with the, maybe I'll use the engine crane, maybe I won't. We'll figure it out. Let me get set up. Well, I think I'm just gonna, obviously I've got it in place, and I'm just gonna lift it up on both of the jack stands. I've got the shop rags in place just to protect some of the hard work that I did on the paint for that, so hopefully it doesn't scratch it up. And then once it's up there, it's gonna rotate, but I'll see if I can get the jack under it, and then I think I can at least put the front of the leaf springs in place. Hopefully some of this is making sense. Hopefully. Well, wondering if I can't carefully get this dude lifted up. Just jack and then secure it with some tie straps. Please don't fall. Wow, that dude's all the way up. Great if he didn't fall down. Alright, well, maybe I'll just do this carefully. Nice. Same thing on this side. These bottom brackets have an alignment bolt hole, just like the axle does now. So you want to make sure that bolt that goes through both the top of the bottom of the leaf spring is aligned for both of them. And then I tried to kind of get them as even as possible. And now I'm just going to snug them up with my wrench, but we are going to torque them. I just want to pull some of the slop out of it before we do. All right, 70 pounds on the torque wrench for these things, and that's what we're going to do. So last time I put the Caltracs on, it was just kind of a mock-up. So I'm going to show you now how to kind of do it per the instructions for final assembly. So you guys already saw how I put the bushings on and the brackets on and how I modified this bracket. If you didn't see that, I'll put the link down into this description so you guys can go check it out, because I actually had to modify these just a little bit. But as far as these brackets being on, they're on the same thing for where the axle mounts. This is part of the Caltrac. Now, with all that said, I'm going to remove this lower bolt. And it's really important that we remove it because we're going to do a few things here. One, the jack right there is supporting the vehicle by jacking up the axle. And if you look, there's a little bit of room in between the jack stand and the frame. And the reason we did that is because to get these angled right, you want to put the weight on the rear axle as if the whole truck's weight would be on it. So we don't have the bed, so we're going to be close, but maybe not exactly where we need to be. But we're good for now. And that's a little sketchy, but I'm only a 1/4 inch off of my jack stands. But first, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run these bolts all the way back like I did here, and we're going to lubricate these rod ends, because if you don't, it's very possible that this bar will seize up and not move. Ask me how I know, because when I bought the Caltracs that are on the Nova over there, when I bought them used, and this stuff was fused. And in Caltrac's instruction, they say use anti-seize or grease to lube these things up so that you can adjust them later on. If you don't, they might seize in place and then you're stuck. So make sure you lube these things. That's extremely important. And I did actually just get underneath the Nova and check and make sure that I can still move everything, because it's been a few years since I put those on. All right, so now let's go ahead and lube the front one, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do with the rear one. All right, some grease here. Yep, that's what it needs. Some grease in those threads. Yeah, buddy. So you just want to get the threads all greasy like that, and then do the same thing to this guy back here. And you don't really have to overdo it. You just want to make sure you get them all greased. Now, what we're going to do, and I'll move you guys back a little bit, hopefully you can see, is we're going to try to thread on this on both ends at the same time. Now, this side that has the adjusters right here, is like it's kind of like a nut at the end. This side is smooth. The side with the nut at the end right here, like this, is actually normal thread, meaning it's right hand thread. This side is left hand thread. One rod bolt is right hand thread, one rod bolt is left hand thread. Let's hope I did this right and I get them all to go back on. Otherwise I'm going to have to be taking them off. So I'm going to start it on this one. Yay, that's right. Now I'm going to go ahead and start this one as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. There, I only did a rotation each. So now I'm going to tighten this thing until this rod end hits this bolt hole right here. So we got a ways to go, and what we're doing is we're evenly screwing in the front and the rear at the same time by holding it like this. And I'm getting my hands all kinds of greasy, but it's in the territory of what you got to do. And there we go. You start seeing it here with me rotating it. Might be able to see that we're almost getting it lined up with the hole here. And once we do, which is really close there, then we throw our nut and bolt in it to the other side. There it goes. Now these are somewhat fully installed. I have to tighten these nuts down and torque them, which I'm going to do in a little bit. Trying to get the nut on the back of this guy. Come on now. There it goes. So that'll be in place for now. And then what we're going to do is we're still going to rotate it, but there is a pin right here. And we want to rotate this. You see how if we rotate it to the right, the pin comes up. We rotate it to the left, the pin goes down. We want to touch the leaf spring, which we're doing now, and then back it off just a little bit. And then tighten our jam nuts. At least get them to where we can tighten them. Remember, this is righty loosey, lefty tighty on the back here. It'll take me a minute to get it all the way up there. Come on now. There we go. Same thing for the front. I am going to have to order Caltracs wrenches because there's no way I'm getting in here with the regular wrench. So, noted. But I can get them snug for now so that they're in place so I can get everything tightened up. The cleaner this stuff is, the better it's going to work. Easier it's going to be to set up. There we go. Now I'll kind of clean that all up, and it's the same process on the other side, exact same. So I will knock out the other side and then we'll go from there. Now we bring you to the portion of my videos where I do the Rearend screw up of the day. And I'm going to blame this one on the instructions to the Beltec kit. But I was tightening everything up, getting everything secured, making sure we're good, torquing all that, torqued the front eyelet bolts here to 125 pounds. And it said torque eyelet bolts to 125 pounds. So I started torquing this one back here. And boy, did I run into a problem. I threw the bolt away. But long story short, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this shackle, which did not come with the kit, is thinner than this material right here by a lot. And when I was trying to torque this bolt to 125 foot-pounds, I wound up collapsing this in a little bit. And then the bolt stripped. So that's not optimal. So I grabbed my big crescent wrench and I pulled it out back as much as I could. And in all honesty, it was a good thing, because this shackle needs to move pretty easily. It needs to be able to swing back and forth to help me get good launches and the geometry of the suspension move. So it was kind of a good accident. And so what I did instead is I had to go get another bolt, and I got another bolt that was just a little bit longer. I want to say it's like 4 1/4 inches, maybe 4 1/2 long. And I got it at Home Depot. If you got a Home Depot, they should have it there. And what I did is I put a couple washers on the outside, and since I collapsed it a little bit, I put a washer on the inside as well, and I put grease on this side, the bolt itself, and then there is enough room for me to get a nut on here on the back side and lock this nut to this nut so it's not over tight, so we'll have plenty of articulation. And from what I was reading, you don't want these things tight anyway, so this works out. For the passenger side, I went ahead and did the same thing, except I didn't screw up, and I was able to get a washer in there. And this is the washer that I got. I wish I had a mic I could tell you the thickness, but again, this is out of the bin, the drawers at Home Depot for 1/2 inch by 13. But I was able to get one there and one on the other side here, and then got the bolt through it and did the same thing, locked the bolt to the weld-on bolt on the hanger itself. So hopefully that makes sense. But if you're doing this, keep a lookout for that. I'm gonna go back and look at the instructions and see if I'm an idiot or not. I mean, I'm an idiot, but like to see if I followed their instructions and that's what caused this problem. But rectified a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. You could have pulled that out a little bit better, but I'm good with it. I'm gonna make peace with it and I'm gonna move on. And all right, tomorrow we're gonna load up axles, get those pressed in, and then come back, put our axles in, put our brakes on, all kinds of stuff. But at least we're gonna do the axles and the studs tomorrow, and then I'll show you all the goodies I got for the brakes for this thing. All right, see you tomorrow. What you do is you find a guy that wears shoes like that in his shop, and then if you need to put some lug nuts in your axles, you just, you know. He is related to Paul Bunyan. He just doesn't know it. Just a little. There you go. Like a glove. Well, I just didn't have enough ass to get this done, but my buddy Billy did. So we'll take it. Yeah. But those are the stock axles with these Moroso wheel studs. They're supposed to work in the stock axle, It's a tight fit though. If I could have drilled these out just a little bit, it may have been a little easier, but that part's done. Well, putting in the lugs didn't quite go as planned. I forgot to bring the batteries for the GoPro, so I only got that just a little bit of footage for you, but hopefully you guys saw the part numbers. That works for me. So the axles are done and ready to go. And last night I went ahead and put brand new e-brake pads and hardware on here. So they look all nice and new, and put the backing plates back on, and I think we are good to go. But I have some more stuff here, which is fun. So I had to get into the box for the pads, but let me show you guys. This I'm not going to open yet, but this is 3/16 brake line. So I'll be running new brake line to the back here from the front. And then this is a set of brand new Power Stop 8.8 Explorer calipers, and they're powder coated. This all comes in a kit. What else do we have? These are fittings for that 3H fuel line. Brake line, 3/16 brake line. This is a manual adjustable proportioning valve, and while we won't go into this today, we're gonna have to put a different proportioning valve on the truck. And this is how I'm gonna do it. And then lastly, which I have to get into in a minute, these are the rotors for the truck. So I got to do a couple things. So I need to paint the hats on those because I don't want rusty hats. I'm just kind of weird like that. And then I got to put the axles in. So I'm going to get those out, get them set up, get them cleaned up, and paint them. And then we'll put the axles in and throw that kind of stuff on and see where we're at. So I'm gonna get to it because I don't have a lot of time today, and I want to try to get some progress done here. But going good, going pretty good. Now it's the satisfying time when we're pulling the tape off of here. That's pretty nice. Looks pretty good. It's not perfect because you'd have to really go around that with a razor blade, but I don't need it that perfect for what we're doing. I just don't want them to rust underneath the wheel because it looks terrible. But they're painted, and that's the majority of what matters. And I did label them because they have stickers on the front. I tried to show you that, but I guess I didn't press record. But if you guys can see down in there, you can see where it says rear RP, rear passenger. So I went ahead and labeled them ahead of time, so that we could get them ready to go. There you go. I'm so happy. This project has taken forever. And I've said it 100 times. I really took a might as well approach. And I'm not exactly sure I'm glad I did until I saw this result here. And wow, it's a brand new truck back here, at least from the cab back. And check out the red calipers, which you can make fun of me if you like, because they're painted red or whatever, but they came that way, powder coated. They look fantastic. Drilled and slotted rotors, which, you know, are there's some people make arguments if they're worth it or not. 3-inch lugs. They're a little crooked. I think they're going to straighten out when I put a set of wheels on it. But look at that. How cool is that? I think there's one more thing we need to do. Let's put the wheels on. Let's get it on the ground. Yeah. That is wild. This is the first time I've seen it on the ground with the 275s. Everything done. And holy cow, is it a lot lower than I ever thought it was going to be. That is so cool. Obviously, we have a lot more work to do on details and stuff like that. And the front is not lowered at all. It just has the 4-cylinder springs with the V8 in it. But wow. That is tough looking, even though like it's not even a complete truck. To give you a reference, you know, Gramps is not lowered at all. It's stock suspension. It's a 4-cylinder too. I wish the bed was on it because it would really point everything out. But wow, how cool is that? This is what it's needed for a long time. This makes it all worthwhile. All this year-long work, because it's been about a year since I torn this thing down. This makes it all worthwhile right here, because this is crazy. And I do have something ordered for the front. I'm gonna do some coilovers in the front, so those are ordered. And yeah, I can't even speak because I can't even think. But yeah, we're on to something here. I've got details to do back here still, so I'm thinking about drag and drive stuff. I've got to move this because in order for me to take this leaf spring out, I'd have to take this off, and with the bed on, that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to take this off, pull this bolt out, cut it, turn it the other way, put the nut on from the inside. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do. Other than that, I think I have 2 bolts to tighten up because they were missing. Everything else looks like it's pretty much done. I do have to do some more measurements again on the rear end to get the drive shaft done. I have to run the brake line all the way back. That's a pretty big deal. I'm going to rerun the power cables all the way back. I'm going to pressure wash the bottom of the bed. I'm also going to cut a big hole in it for the fuel stuff. And then I'm also going to wheel this guy out and pressure wash underneath the cab and the back of the cab and stuff like that, because I'm tired of getting old mud and dirt in my eyes when I work on this thing, because I was an idiot when I was 17 and I wanted to off-road this thing, and that's why there's all this dirt and grime and stuff on it. And plus, looks like the transmission was slinging some stuff there too, or rear end actually, probably. But this is basically done as far as the swap is concerned. do have to create some shock mounts, which that's not going to be too big of a deal, but I may have my buddy Tommy look at it with me to make sure we put them in the right place. And maybe if we have to fab something up, we might have to. We'll see when we get there. But I have to get that measured out and figured out. They need to work like they need like good shocks, so I need to make sure that they're in the right place. So yeah, there's still some more things to do before we put the bed back on it and then get started on the front end of it. But it rolls. I was worried about the studs not being exactly straight, but they straightened out like I thought they would. And that's perfect. I am going to eventually get some new wheels. Right now, these are going to work for a while. I do probably need some new tires. These guys are probably too old and not going to work like they did before. But I do know what I want to run on these anyway. But we are making it happen. And this is so cool. All right. Well, obviously, I'm excited because I've been building this truck for 2 years. You know, it's already been on the road once. And if you're new to the channel, go back and check out our build series on this, where I put an LS in it with a turbo 400, and we did a couple drag and drives, and then I found out it was broken, so we pulled it all apart, and then this happened, and we're putting 8.8 in it. So if you are new, we got all kinds of projects and stuff. Obviously, this isn't the only one. We got parts ordered for Gramps now that we can start on that as well. That's going to be a twin turbo 4.8 liter 4L80E truck. My Nova's good for now, and some good projects for this coming up. Plus, we have some other rides that aren't in this shop. So we always got plenty of stuff going on. So we'd love to have you. If you're new, please consider subscribing and hanging out with us. If you already are subscribed, thank you guys so much. We couldn't appreciate you guys more. And it's already 98 degrees outside at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna go inside. But I'm just super excited. So thanks for coming along on this journey. Let me know what you think of it while it's on the ground, and I'd be curious to know what you guys all think. I also think we're gonna be okay. We're not gonna have to C-notch it. I think we're good. So, all right, that's it. Let me go cool off. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at The RacerX Garage, and we'll be coming out in another video next week. All right, enjoy your weekend. Until next time, y'all be good.